Hey everyone, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, another one of our Coffee Talk Lives, and not just another one, because I am with the Osceola County Clerk and Comptroller, Mr. Kelvin Soto. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Keith. Good to see you.
Always good to see you. We've known each other quite a while.
Years.
It has been years, What's great is we have not aged.
That's right.
It's amazing.
Isn't that great?
The world spins, but yet
well,
we're
the work keeps us young.
Our work, I think, keeps us young. So let's use that as a segue. So beautiful day today. It is gorgeous out. We're here at Susanna's Café, not far from the courthouse where you are there quite often. So today, want to get kind of right to it. You guys are doing something very cool. I know it's a statewide initiative, but it's happening right here in Osceola County now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is, please?
Yes, Operation Greenlight. You mentioned that we've known each other for years, and one of the things that brings us together is our understanding, our knowledge of our community. Right. I think there's not a corner of this county you have not been to, and likewise,
Sure.
Of course, I spend most of my days and hours in the courthouse. It is a full-time job that requires, a lot of. You just got to be there,
no doubt.
And it's challenging, it's complicated. But the work that I do there and my staff, I see that impact, and it's because I know this community as like you do through your media company.
Sure.
Operation Greenlight really helps address a very important issue, and that is that in order for us to work, to go to school, the way that the infrastructure is in Central Florida, a lot of these states, is that you almost kind of really do need a car. You really need to be able to drive, especially if you're going to do things that are more than what the normal or the average is. And I'll say this, look, someone who works full-time and go to schools at night and has to drive to the campus, and you can't get the nearest campus because the class is not there.
Right.
And so in order for us to really break out and achieve those ambitions and goals, getting around is just very important.
Sure.
And the ability to drive is, to me, I think that it's more than just a rite of passage for a young person to get their driver's license. It's actually a step into a different experience in our society.
No doubt.
And it opens doors. Needless to say, that was a long way of saying that having your driver's license valid and right and available to you opens doors. And
yes.
For a lot of folks, that they're either don't have a driver's license or their driving privilege has been suspended.
Right.
And that has to happen, because being out on the road puts on every individual a responsibility for others.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to boil it down, we have an interest, every one of us, that we have safe roads. Okay? And so a driver's license suspension can happen, because people are negligent, or they rack up too many tickets, taking chances, which they shouldn't.
Right.
But let me tell you another reason why. It's also because of financial responsibilities. Sometimes you could lose your license because you're too poor.
Right.
What Operation Greenlight does is that it doesn't matter why an individual's license is suspended, okay? What's important is that that paying their fees, paying their fines,
right,
puts them in the place to lift that suspension and be able to drive again. Okay?
Understood.
So for some people, it will not help if the suspension is due to a different reason other than financial.
Right.
But for a lot of folks, and especially for those folks that, they're not a menace on the road,
mm-hmm.
they haven't done something that really puts at risk the rest of the community. It's
right.
financial. Well, sometimes when you're in a financial hole, things snowball. And a 300 becomes 500, becomes 700.
Sure.
And you can imagine that for those folks, some sort of relief could get them back on the road. And that's what Operation Greenlight does. It gives us the authority for a certain amount of time to renegotiate all of those financials, including waiving fines and fees and collection costs, and accepting the original balance, in order to lift those suspensions. Okay?
Yeah, I think you're making a great point. You've made a number of great points, actually, and one of them was that it really that having that driving privilege is a privilege.
It is.
And it does open up so many different doors. It's a catch-22 from what I'm hearing you're saying. So people are not able to get on the road, they're not able to earn, and so there's the unending problem, correct?
That's correct. Now in our office, we will put a payment plan at any time.
Right.
To help people, financially be able to lift suspension, because that's actually a very good service to put a payment plan, to take, because maybe it's been a year since they worked, and now they work, but now it's been a lot of money.
Right.
So we could do that, but with Operation Greenlight, we could actually affect the balance. Okay. In other words, we could take some things off, only then, and it makes it more affordable.
It's a life changer, actually, right?
I think so, and I think that for a lot of times when we have these programs and people come, to the clerk's offices in their counties to take care of those financials in their counties, and here, they leave better off because in the end, this was a difficult moment in their lives, an experience that was not necessarily pleasant, but they'll leave being treated fair, feeling that they were treated fairly, and they were, and better off learning about and that reminder about why we have this privilege that you just brought up again as a privilege, exactly what it is.
I know it's happening right now, so people can take advantage of that right now, but that is a limited initiative, correct?
All the way through Friday, April 24th.
Gotcha.
And that brings up another thing, and this is something I'm very proud of, and something that I have put personally a lot of time. And so we're working really hard in modernization. Okay, look, just because there's a rule that says we need to get something that was filed, into the actual court records, electronic records in 3 days, doesn't mean that we want to take 3 days to do it. Especially if the technology is there, that if we do the investment, we could do these things immediately. Right. But here in Operation Greenlight, participation can happen through the phone, online, or in person. See, and so all of these benefits are going to be available to anyone who needs it, and they don't necessarily need to come into the office. Now, we love our customer service and our personal interactions, and sometimes there's a benefit of coming in person because there may be other things that you need to go outside of the process and look somewhere else to help. I get that. But for most things, they could be done online or through the phone. And if it can't be done through the phone, that time is not wasted because when they come in, we could finish whatever is left quickly. So our modernization efforts are making things, these initiatives and these opportunities like Operation Greenlight even more accessible to more people. And we're really proud of that. And I would say that it wasn't easy.
I'm sure. Well, I don't think anything you do is
technology not easy. It's really complicated stuff.
Well, I think I think if you look back 10 years, it's not technology has certainly changed, but I think what the community or the world's expectations of technology is much larger, right?
And Keith, I would say it wouldn't surprise me if I hear from members of our community and like, hey, you know what? When I did this, I went to visit X state, and we had to do something similar, and it was just so much faster, so much pleasant.
Right.
In their minds, it's like, why isn't it like that here? Now, in our minds, is budget, the availability of the expertise. There's so many things to do that. For an organization to accomplish those things, you need leaders that are dedicated to that take the time and put in the effort, not during work. Talking about in their own free time to catch up with what's out there. I mean, you really need people that care and that are also willing to learn new things, study it. And in order to do that, you need individuals that really have a fascination with this, a genuine desire to go through all of those very uncomfortable things, of putting aside fun and say, no, you know what? I'm going to be learning now about server migration.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait a minute, cybersecurity, wow. These are things that are very technical and they're not necessarily fun. But for someone that cares about the impact it does in a community, it's so it brings us so much pleasure and meaning. And that's why I am always grateful to Osceola County for giving me this opportunity to serve them, because I am bringing great things, but it also brings me, that joy, of learning, of challenges, and of serving.
I think, and as I mentioned, I think and I'll speak for myself, I think the expectations I have are far greater than they were 10 years ago when I think in the technology world, or when I think in a sector of our community that is attached to technology needs. I said, I think my expectation is gigantically much larger than it was. And I would say this, I get to work in other states in the country we live in, and I have mentioned in business how wowed I am by the services that are provided in this county for you and your team. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here. We have literally said, I can't believe that a state as large as whatever the state that was has not moved as quickly as you have in technology. And I'm not even sure that the community sometimes knows how many services you provide. We would be here for another hour talking about them, really.
Yeah. And that point that you made about technology, our county government or county leadership, it's been at least a decade where they've made a conscious, focused approach in adapting technology, in bringing technology. And it's not just about bringing a company and NeoCity and all that. It's an attitude.
I agree.
It's a paradigm. When the county decided to go ahead and embrace this technology and say, hey, we're going to go through this transition. That's amazing. Yeah. And the community benefits from it. Sometimes they notice, sometimes they don't. But
usually not.
But it's there. Yeah. It's there. And like I said, it's not just, it's everything together. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of viewing the world. We have to view the world that way because our community demands it. Okay? They demand up-to-date information. They demand the ability to do things in person, professionally, pleasant, effectively, and online and by phone as well.
Yeah. And these days, I think it's hard for communities that are growing as rapidly as we are. If somebody has,
we have so many challenges, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, and I just think if the leadership doesn't make that decision to stay on it or get ahead of it, and I think then it becomes less in the background and much more in the foreground, because that's when you see, I think, things start to occur for the public to see. So many things are happening right that they don't see it, which is probably okay.
But it is happening.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is happening, and I'm sitting here with you. Mm-hmm. I know that this is a public, it's published, and I'm putting, it is happening.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that there are places where the attitude is, well, when it happens, it happens. What we have works.
Right.
But the public is not just going to not have experiences in other places.
Right, I understand.
They're going to say, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah. What can that happen here?
Yeah, sure. Well, I just took you off the focus of Operation Greenlight for sure.
Well, not really.
But I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, not really. You see, any kind of initiative, any kind of service, if it doesn't become available at its most efficient forms, it's a benefit that is limited.
Right.
So all of these things that we're talking about, the ability to you really deal with a lot of your financial, your fees, your fines, payment plans through remote means need to be not just available, they need to be accessible, they need to be easy, okay, all of those things. And that's not going to happen on its own.
Right.
It's not like there's some kind of magic that requires people staying late, okay, and weekends, because that's the time when we have to experiment with server migrations, hyper-virtualization of new servers, installation of new storage appliances, making sure that all of our ports are working, all of our connects are working, that we have redundant internet.
Right.
Then on top of that, all of the cybersecurity, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Make sure that our systems maintain secure. No, that does not happen by magic.
No.
It may look like magic when it's done. Believe me. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot. And so this Operation Greenlight is going to be better than all the previous ones.
Nice.
Because we hope that we could get as many people as we could help. So you're going to help that with promoting it.
That's what we're trying to do. So why don't you go ahead and give us the overview one more time? I know it's happening currently.
Currently through April 24th.
No appointments needed.
No appointments needed. When you come to the office, you will go through our information and you will find a kiosk there. Now,
Okay.
there's a lot of services,
Right.
but it's very easy to go ahead and select
Sure.
for to make payments. And depending on how many people are there, the thing would even tell you, based on the trends and everything, how long you could expect to wait.
Great.
And when you put in your cell phone number, it doesn't matter where you're at in the building, it'll tell you, go to window 23.
Nice. So that's is that kind of part of the virtual queue system, kind of?
Yes,
Can be.
absolutely,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
Great.
And what the queue system does for us is a lot of things, because when they check in and they get on the queue, a lot of times we're maybe even able to pull up their case already,
Right.
start having numbers.
Awesome.
options.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how we're able to see a lot of people faster.
Right.
Yeah. And
Cool.
So,
Doing it, man.
yeah, I'm really proud of what we're doing here. And I'm proud of this county. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah.
How about that? It's, you're right. There's so many challenges, so many things happening with all the projects that are going on, and still we're looking at those things that affect our community directly and not just addressing them, but looking to the future, getting ahead of it.
That's tough.
It is.
That's a little tough.
It is. But it could be done.
Yeah.
We're
well,
doing it.
You're doing it. You're doing
Yeah.
it. Well, we appreciate you, man. It's a big job. You've got a good team. We know you do. And so we appreciate what you're doing.
That means a lot, Keith.
Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Kelvin Soto, the Osceola County Clerk and Comptroller, together making a positive difference in and around Osceola.